So I've been working on a back testing framework recently, and it's at the point now where I'd actually like to share it. And so I'm going to show off a couple of the features and show how it works. And it's a command line driven application, which I don't mind. Alright, so so now it's started up, and we have a list of commands that we can use. And the first thing to do would be to get a symbol into the group, would be to pull a stock symbol into the system. And so earlier I had chosen a symbol that I didn't already have in the system. I think it was ASML. Yeah. So ASML is not currently in the system. If it was in the system, it would have came back with the selected value. Right back to that. All right. So ASML is not in the system, so I'm going to add it. Select ASML. I have it. I'm going to refresh also. And refresh is going to go ahead and grab information. And since I just added ASML, it's going to grab the fundamental data, which is from TD Ameritrade. It's information like 52-week high, 52-week low, PE ratios, stuff like that. And then it'll pull all the daily candle information for the past 5 years and put that into the database, and it will also grab all the information they can find from openinsider.com. And now that symbol has been pulled into the system, and anytime I do a refresh, it'll try to get the latest information from those sources for that data source for that symbol. And it'll do that along with all the other symbols I have. So currently I only have, well, currently I have about 550 symbols, but most of them are for the S&P 500 because I was testing that. All right, so there's so there we have an individual symbol, and it's nice to work with an individual symbol, but sometimes it's nice to work with groups of symbols. So there's also groups. So if I list the groups, here's a list of groups that are available, and if I list, this is just a test group, and then I can select a group, I'm sorry. So these are the symbols that are in that group. Now I can add a group. Now there's two groups, test 1 and test 2. And the symbol that we just added was ASML. So I'm going to add ASML to both of those groups. Alright. So now if I select either of those groups, ASML is now part of it. Excellent. Alright, so now we have symbols in the system, and we have groups of symbols. And the next step is the tests. And tests are composed of a starting balance, a date range, and a selection strategy, and a investment strategy. The selection strategy defines which symbols the investment strategy will be applied to. The selection strategy selects the symbols based on information available at the time, at the start of the test. So if we test from January 1st, 2001, it will only have information that was available at that date or sooner. The investment strategy will then look at a series of candlesticks starting at the date and ending at the end of the date, and it is asked to process each daily candlestick. So it makes one choice per day. That choice, the choice it makes is it supplies a recommendation. It says, you know, buy or sell or hold, and then a quantity and a price that it's targeting. And then when that recommendation is received by the framework, if the price is within, if throughout the day that price becomes valid, then it will execute that trade. Otherwise, it'll log that it could not make that trade because the market conditions weren't favorable to the recommendation. Okay, so there's a few different selection strategies, and there's a few different trading strategies. The selection strategies are pretty simple. Are mainly pretty simple. There's the symbol, which you select by symbol; group, where you select by group; and then there's script, where it uses a Lua script, and it sends a set of information to the Lua script, which can analyze that symbol and return either true or false, true being include this, or false meaning don't include this. Here's, for example, a random selection, so it'll just randomly either select it or not. And here is one where it will select the symbol if the opening price, or the most recent price at the time of selection, was above the midpoint between the 52-week low and high. So if it's above half, you know, for the 52 weeks, then it's going to go ahead and select it. And this is the information that is available to the selection function, and it has to return either true or false. And then here is an example of an investment strategy. This is a randomized investment strategy where it just randomly decides to either buy or sell, and it buys as much as a random amount that it can, and it sells at a random amount that it has, or it randomly holds. So this is kind of like a monkey at the keyboard, so kind of me. But there's the inputs that it can use, and this will tell it if the previous recommendation was actuated, then it'll be true. But if for whatever reason the previous recommendation couldn't be actuated, then this is false. So that so these are all the information that has available. So let's run a test. First, let's the easiest test to run is the daily DCA dollar cost average, and that's one of the investment strategies that's not scripted. So we'll start with that one. Let's use this new symbol we used. Test. XML. DCA. And this is so this is going to be telling it to use so daily cost average is a specific amount of money every day spent, but in order to specify that amount of money, we're going to say look at the first day of trading that you're analyzing, and use 10 times that stock value as the amount. So day one, we're going to buy 10 regardless, and then every day after that, we're going to see how it goes. And let's get $10,000. Do it for -3 months to -3 days. Alright, so here we have, I have to clean this bit up, but I haven't been looking at this recently because you'll see why. But here is the output from an individual test. And we can see that the test selection selected the symbol ASML because we did the symbol selection. And that we did the DCA back testing strategy. And so the first ASML must be $728. Yep. So it bought 10 ASML. Okay. I don't know why it didn't continue. That happened to be $7,000. We gave it $10,000, so it couldn't do any more purchases for the remaining test. And we didn't have any sales in the test, so that's why it only did that 10 purchase and stopped. Alright, so there's an individual test. We can save a test. And now we can compare, now that we have a saved test, here's a list of all the tests that we've saved, that I've saved so far, the latest one being the ASML test. So now that we've saved a test, we can do comparisons of tests. And when we're doing a comparison of tests, every test that we're comparing gets a dollar amount, a start date, an end date, and then the list of saved tests that we're going to run along with their arguments. Alright, now that's going to run all 3 of those tests. And here we have the output, this output, in a more easily read website. I need to work on the CSS to make it prettier, but it's not too bad at the moment. And so this shows us that we did a test of 3 tests for $100,000 starting from 3 months ago to 3 days ago. And at the end of the test, and then ordered by whichever one did the best, is the one that did the best is at the top and to the bottom, and then the test that was ran. And then we can follow the link to see the actual decisions that were made and the positions at the end of the thing. So then we have, we're buying, you can follow this link. This will take you to chart of the day of the trade that it decided to make, and it'll tell you exactly what we did here. So that's comparisons. And what's interesting though is that you can actually, if you look at C1 compare, okay, so here's what's interesting. You can actually kind of compound them. So L0 is a test that was saved, and it tests the DCA with 10 shares against a, and then since arg0 is the selection argument, then it's the selection argument that you're sending it a set of selections. And L1 is a test for script 1, and it's also using the same arg0. And then if you look at C1, it's comparing L0 and L1. So it's actually, C1 is actually a composite of L0 and L1, so you're running, so with just the one test of L. So let's do this. So C1 compare. Let's give it $10,000 this time. And we're going to do C1 ASML. We still need to give it a date range. And now we have ASML on the DCA versus ASML versus the script, which is random.